All right, so what I want to talk to you guys today about is fatigue. That is a very big topic in the fitness industry today. Um, I think it's overused in a lot of aspects, but it is very important to understand that fatigue is a very important aspect. And if you neglect it, it will make you pay. So today's topic is why your fatigue isn't just coming from training. If you're tired all the time, even on your rest days, then that is definitely something to look into from a fatigue standpoint. And we'll dig into what's actually draining you if it's not training. So, number one, what you think the problem actually is. So, most people assume that their training is what is making them tired, but training is only one piece of this fatigue puzzle, if you want to call it that. So, a lot of people never ever reach the point of overtraining. You more than likely are under recovering, and just because you are fatigued does not mean that you trained hard enough to drop fatigue up. Um, Fatigue can come from various aspects, not just training. And singular rest days alone will not fix systemic fatigue. There has to be other methods of action alongside of just taking rest days in order to fix this problem. So fatigue, in a nutshell, is stress, right? And to fix fatigue, we need to have stress mitigation and keep that stress accumulation down as much as we can. So your body does not separate physical stress from mental or emotional stress. It's going to hit all of your recovery systems in the same way. So your body does not know if the stress from your relationship status, you have a deadline at work coming up, all these other various factors, your body does not differentiate a stress load, right? All of that fatigue is going to be bundled into one category, and it's your allostatic load. It is the sum of all of your stressors, all of your things that are contributing to that overall fatigue load. So it doesn't matter if it's coming from training, from work deadlines, from relationship issues to troubles at home, whatever the case may be. All of this is going into that bucket of stress. And now again, this can come from all of these: work deadline, a relationship, poor sleep, under eating, low blood sugar is another one. And then one that people will typically forget about is overuse of stimulants. So if you're somebody who's walking around here with enough caffeine to caffeinate a elephant, then you probably need to dial that back a touch because it is putting stress on your system, and again, that's going toward that overall fatigue buildup, which turns into the adrenal system. So if we were talking about, all that extra stimulant usage, that will cause an issue with your adrenal glands. So your adrenal system is the master regulator of your energy. When it's overworked, you overstimulate it, you give too much of it, like you feed too much into it, you're going to feel wired all the time, tired all the time, or maybe even a scenario where both is happening at the same time. So if your adrenal system is all out of whack, you may have high cortisol all throughout the day, which is going to lead to burnout. You could have low cortisol, which is going to make just getting out of bed a hard time. So if you guys didn't know this about that 2 or 3 a.m. Time frame every night, your cortisol spikes, and as it's coming down, that is what helps you wake up in the morning to get out of the bed and get moving. And if your cortisol is too low, it's going to make getting out of bed very, very difficult. And then, just overall, if you have fatigue, it more than likely is just a dysregulated stress response, stemming from all faucets. Like I said, from relationship to workouts to, overstress. I mean, it comes from all different places. So training can make it worse though. So if you're already somebody who is under a lot of stress from all aspects of life, let's say if you have a hard job, a very stressful job, you have 10 kids and you have all of those kids to take care of. You just have so much stuff to do and it's putting a lot of stress on you just in general. Training just adds more fuel to the fire because again, your body does not differentiate what type of stress it is. It all goes toward that stress and fatigue bucket. And once that bucket is full, it doesn't matter if what that bucket is consisting of, but if it's overflowing, then you have then you can have a problem. So lifting weights can be a stressor in this scenario. And then if you throw in extra cardio, which is again a stressor, you have a calorie deficit, which again is a stressor. It's going to reduce your recoverability, which again is going to make that fatigue even worse. More is not better when your cup is already overflowing. So again, if you have that fatigue bucket and it's already full from life stressors and you are throwing training over top of it, it's just going to overflow. Essentially, is just what it's going to do. And so, if you think that you possibly are having issues with the fatigue and you have no idea where it's coming from, I would first perform a recovery audit. So, what you want to do is look at a couple things. First off, is going to be stress load. Let's look at your work, your family, your relationship. What's your lifestyle look like? Is your job very stressful? Do you go home and have a very stressful, hectic, kind of toxic relationship with your significant other? Like, what does that stress load look like just on your day to day life? Then look at sleep quality. Is the sleep good? Is it just a few hours or is it 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 hours? Is it deep sleep? Is it that you're barely getting into REM sleep? How good is your sleep essentially? Food intake. Again, if you're in a calorie deficit, a pretty steep one, that in itself is a stressor to the body. So, if the goal that you have at hand can warrant a little more food, that's going to help fatigue um, as well too. And then training volume. Are you training too much? Is that volume across the week too high? Have you ever taken a deload? Are you always training to a very high intensity level to where you're just on go mode every time that you hit the gym? So audit. If you find anything to adjust it. Make sure that you can actually recover from it, and then progress on the backside of that. So if it was me and you're having trouble with any kind of fatigue issues, and you're not really sure of where to go, and you have done that audit, some action steps that you can do this week to kind of put in play to help reduce some of that is going to be track your sleep time and your quality. If you have an Apple Watch, I know it's a pain in the butt to sleep with one of those things on, and the battery life isn't that great. But maybe a 1 or 2 nights a week, track your sleep. See how your sleep quality is. What's the difference in between you actually getting in bed and you actually falling asleep? Are you waking up, constantly during the night? Are you getting up several times to pee during the night? There's a lot of things that you can look at when you look at actual sleep time and sleep quality. Make sure that you're eating consistent meals with consistent meal timing and having enough carbs. And again, this is if your plan allows it. If you think that maybe the training volume is just too much, pull back some volume and some intensity if needed, and just track it across the week. If you feel a little better after that volume has been pulled back some, well, then that could be your issue. Um, if you add in any kind of like low stem morning walks, this is essentially you wake up in the morning, you leave the phone at home, you go out for a walk in the morning, get some good sunlight in your eyes. Essentially, you're not walking down the street and you have the phone glued to your face the entire time, right? Stem free. You don't need the phone to walk. Just get out, walk, enjoy the fresh air, get sun in your eyes. Just get the morning started off on a good note outside of being buried in your phone, essentially. And then kind of on the flip side for the evenings, here lately at like 7:30, 8 o'clock ish, I've been taking my phone, setting the alarm on it, plugging it up, and turning it face down on the nightstand, and I don't touch it until the next morning. Just because I know if I don't do that, I'll be on it right until I go to bed, and my sleep is definitely affected by that. So I've definitely found that helpful as well too. And then if all else fails, you can use some supplements as well too. One of them that I really like to use is magnesium glycinate. I take 400 milligrams of that nightly, and it really seems to help knock me out as well too. Helps my recoverability go up. I also take that Calm magnesium. I take a scoop of the Calm, and I take a 400 milligram of magnesium glycinate pill together, drink that, and I'm out like a rock every single night. My recoverability has gone way up since I started doing that. And then, obviously using electrolytes. That's actually what's in this cup right here. Is some electrolytes, just to be sure that, we're not skimping out on anything as far as that side goes. And then, any kind of adaptogens as well too. But outside of that, that's really it as far as what you need to look for if you're in a very high fatigue state and you don't really know where to go from there. Essentially, if you're somebody who you wake up in the morning, your feet hit the ground, and you're already like, today is going to be one of them days. My feet hurt. I didn't sleep very well. I'm groggy. You probably have a fatigue issue, and it's something that you could definitely start to look at because it's not something that you should just trudge through. I've done that, and it does not turn out good on the other end. So, as far as info, that's what I got for you guys today. Um, any questions on fatigue or recoverability, anything like that?
If you were to give like a list of like, I guess, priority things to look at, like those different areas that kind of you mentioned from like first one to look at to like last one to look at, what would you say that kind of those would be? And you might have kind of went through in that order. I know like probably number one and then maybe like
Um,
meals and training.
if it was me, the very first one that I would look at from a fatigue standpoint has to be your sleep. If you're not sleeping, then you're just not recovering. If your sleep isn't adequate and it's not of good quality, anything that you do from muscle gain to fat loss is going to be stalled out. So that has to be number one. Um, and then if we're looking at the fatigue standpoint, as far as order goes, mm, sleep has to be the biggest one, I would say. As far as the number two, mm, I would say
And
probably
maybe there
making
is no
sure
order.
that the food that you're eating probably needs to be high quality foods. Maybe I guess because the way that I see it is if it's just like a car. If you put crappy gas in your car, it's not gonna run well. Same for you if you put bad food in your body, right? Like you're not gonna be able to perform in the gym properly. And then that just has a downhill effect of you're not able to perform properly. If you have bad food, junk food in your system, right, digestion down the line is going to be compromised. Then that could turn into poor sleep. So, like as for you as well, I mean, as you know from your issues this past week, that. So maybe like my one and two would be sleep has to be looked at, the food quality has to be looked at, and then I don't know. The other ones are just kind of I wouldn't say like any definitive order, I guess.
Yeah. It should.
Anybody got anything else?
Rihanna's got something.
No, you're good. I can hear you.
follow any sort of like structured deload? Like, do you believe we should program deloads in to manage our fatigue, or do you kind of go by like feeling fatigued and then just hit a deload? What for fatigue management? Like, what's your view on that?
I think my view has changed over time. With that, several years ago, I would just run myself into the ground until my body pretty much made me take a deload. I would get sick in some aspect, and then I would be out of the gym for a week, right? And that would be a deload because I wasn't really doing anything. Now, though, I do try to structure some deloads. Mm, for myself, do I follow them? That's kind of iffy. Like if I'm feeling good, things are moving. Like I'm not gonna want to take the deload. So like even now to this day, like it's kind of all about feel. But I will say that like if I have like a long weekend coming up or a trip for 4 or 5 days somewhere, I'm more than likely going to take that opportunity to do a quote unquote deload, just to take that 4 to 5 days off to give my body a little bit of a break. I think it kind of depends though, person to person. If you're somebody that's very structured, and you do things like down to the T, maybe having a set deload at week whatever 16 might be a good idea. But then again, if you get to week 16 and the logbook is moving, you feel great, everything is progressing, why stop? Right. So I think it's kind of on a person to person basis if you actually have it structured in there and then you actually follow it, or if you kind of just play it by feel, which now I would say that I'm more or less, I have them structured in, but I think it kind of keeps me accountable to be like, hey, I have a deload, coming up in 2 weeks. If I feel any kind of way, if I feel that fatigue is rising up, it could be time for me to take that. But then again, on the flip side, if things are good, I'm probably just going to roll right through it and not take the deload. To be completely honest, that's that's kind of how I see it. If that makes any kind of sense.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else got anything? Miss Chastity or Ernesto or Preston? Are you guys good? Okay. You're
I'm
good.
over here being stressed at work already. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Oh, one thing that you could do too, Miss Chastity, is a lot of the times if we have somebody that has like a very high like stressful job, EMS, police, firefighter, anything like that, using like ashwagandha is always a pretty good supplement to add in as well too, just to help pull cortisol down because that at some clip, you really can't control the work stress at your job, right? It just kind of comes and goes as kind of the day progresses. So like maybe adding in a supplement for somebody who has a very high stressful job is a good idea as well too. So
I seen that something about dandelion root. Have you ever heard anything about dandelion root?
I have, the more that I've heard of it though is um, more along the lines of like a natural diuretic, which isn't really going to do you any good. And I do know it has some kind of that stress reduction, stress relief connotations with it. But again, it's one of those herbal natural supplements like that that you might get a little bit of bang out of your buck, right? Because it's like it's a natural thing. It could be worth a try. If it was me, I would just use ashwagandha. I think it's KSM 66 is like the actual brand that I would use.
Okay,
That's the real ashwagandha, not some off-brand market stuff. So
great. Thank you.
yes, ma'am. All right. Well, if nobody else has anything, we'll be done. And then next week we'll do the stop using food as a reward, and how to fix that. But outside of that, if you guys got any other questions, you know where to find me. And as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
All right. See ya.
And I'll see you two, Jacob and Rihanna, and Preston. Preston's coming to the show as well too. I'll see
Nice.
all three of you there. So I think it's Jacob, Rihanna, Preston, Caleb's obviously in it, and then I think Chloe's going to be there. So we're going to have several
Oh,
of us.
nice.
So yep, it'll be good. So
Good deal.
all right, well y'all be careful, and I'll see y'all later.
All right. See
Bye.
ya.